basis for lots of other PR fields. I mean, in some ways it's very similar. You're still dealing with sort of different audiences, stakeholders, it's communications, it's image, it's reputation, it's media, but it's actually what forms the basis of all the other industries. So it's making sure you're looking at policy and understanding the very basis for what everything else does. So that's one side of it. And also, I think public affairs it just stands alone because it's not standard PR, there's more to it. It's the same as all the other bits, but it's much more involved and the stakeholders get much wider. The absolute hardest is keeping up with everything, keeping up with what the media are saying, what the blogs are saying, what politicians are doing, what the government policy is, policy that's coming, internationally. I think just breaking down all the information that's out there into enough to inform your clients successfully. For me, I love going to Parliament and going to events and doing that sort of thing. I like the social element to it. It's great, you get to meet people, you have discussions, you really get the feeling that sounds a bit cheesy, but that you're actually making a bit of a difference.
You get involved.
Yeah.
You get involved a lot.
And it's very varied. I first got into public affairs when I worked for a big charity in their legal and secretariat department. And it was a cancer charity, and they were doing a campaign around car park fees and exemptions and making sure that people could park cheaply if they had treatment that required them to keep going back to hospital. I thought, well, that looks interesting. I wanted to get more into PR anyway, so I actually took an administrative job in a PR company, as I said, hoping to get into the glamorous film and music side of things. Ended up as a PA from the political department and got sucked into it from there, basically. You have to be good at deciphering policy, so breaking it down to something that you can communicate, to messages, getting that across. You have to be prepared to work very hard. It can be quite long hours. As I said, politics is everywhere, so you have to constantly be thinking about information. I definitely do research. I'd be really clear about what it involves, who it involves, and then build networks. So start whether you want to be political and volunteering and meet people through that way, because you can find that for volunteering for an MP you can become their researcher. That's one route in. But I think any kind of application that you're doing, whether it's for an internship or for a job, just really know the company that you're applying to, or the organisation or the individual. Do your background and your due diligence and look into it and make yourself stand out with knowledge that you can show that you've really, really done your homework. Normally it would be face-to-face. You'd normally be interviewed by probably a couple of members of staff, and there'd be various questions checking your ability as an individual and your background, your capabilities, but also your knowledge of what's actually involved, and again showing that you've done your homework. If you get through to the next stage, you might be asked to do a written exercise. For instance, we'd asked to write a press release or a small briefing paper, because being able to write effectively is a very important part of the job too. I think PR is very female heavy, but public affairs is still male dominated, and if you look at the people that run public affairs companies and the people at the top, and that applies to politics, it's still very male dominated, and it's not representative of the entire population. I don't think ethnic minorities really represented properly either, and it's important to present more people to get involved in politics to make it more representative, but I know that's something that people really struggle with. It's something that, for so many reasons, just the hours alone make it very difficult for women, if they have children, to be politicians. So there's a lot of ways that they can make it better, but it requires big reform, big efforts, and at the moment it's not as it should be, but I really hope that in 20 years' time we look at the House of Commons and it's not middle-aged white men that dominate the scenario, but we'll see.